On today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Square Enix PlayArts Kai The Dark Knight Trilogy #2 Bane. Couldn't have just picked up the Batman. I had to definitely get his nemesis. We got Bane here. Featured on the front of the package in some really neat artwork. The rain cascading down onto Bane. That looks like a picture of the actual figure, and that looks a really nice detailed figure. It says, warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age, and recommended for ages 13 and up. On the side of the package, we got just a standard side black strip there, which says PlayArts Kai. And on the back, some pictures of the figure. Also indicated down below, #1, which was the Batman, and Spot picked that up. Very impressed with the figure. The Bane features 26 points of articulation, over 26 points of articulation. Collect all figures in the series. You can go to www.squareenixshop.com if you are interested in these, as well as other things from the good folks at Square Enix. And the good thing about it, also, if you are just intending on keeping the figure inside package, you have the beauty of having an open window where you just have the figure visible. Looks like he has 2 pairs of hands and also the broken cowl. Down below it says, "I have your back." On the side, the read-up says, "Days of despair return with an ascent of a new villain. 8 years have passed since Batman disappeared. The city once filled with darkness is now a thing of the past. Gotham City eradicated organized crime and transformed into a peaceful metropolis thanks to the enforcement of the Dent Act. However, Selina Kyle's warning that there's a storm coming and Bane's attack on the stock market begins a torrent of destruction followed by despair and suffering. A hurricane of strife is building with the Batman in the center. A ghastly mercenary who brought despair to Gotham City, Bane is such a dangerous threat that even the CIA have their eyes on him. With a strong physique and a calm and calculating intellect, he is fanatically adored by his followers. Bane wears a mask that supplies him with an analgesic gas to relieve the pain that he suffers from an injury he had sustained in the past. That eerie mask has become a trademark of his. He entraps Batman and Gotham City into a state of despair through violence and fear." Bane personified, for me at least, a true foe for Batman. Smarter, perhaps, than Batman. Much stronger, certainly, than Batman as well. Yeah, Bane definitely was a posing threat. What I am going to do is I'm going to take a break. I'm going to obviously get Bane out of packaging. And when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the PlayArts Kai Dark Knight Trilogy Bane. There's definitely more to come. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Like the PlayArts Kai Dark Knight Trilogy #1 Batman, you also get yourself a display base for Bane. Same display base, it's got a clear bottom, it's kind of a opaque plastic. There are points where you can adjust out the height that you need for the stand. And at the very top there is an adjustable neck and also a close area to hold the figure. Still a little eerie, still a little weary, I should say, that... well, I actually have to tighten this as well. But I am still a little leery that the plastic display stands, I worry, are not going to hold out. And sometimes with clear plastic, you got to be a little careful for it. But at least you get a display stand. It's not bad. Moving that out of the way. You know what? I'm just going to move that out of the way there. The other accessories you get yourself 2 display hands, 2 additional swappable hands. Right now, Bane's got 2 closed fists. As much as I really like the closed fist idea, I think I prefer the open hands more so. Some really nice detail on the hands themselves. One is gloved. You can see his fingernails and everything else going on there. And then the other one is just a regular hand. Looks like it's slightly scarred. You can take Bane's hands and just finagle, just do a little rotating as you pull it They come off relatively easy. Same idea, you just kind of want to twist it as you pop it back into place. There you have the one open hand. Same idea with this other hand, you're just going to rotate it, pull it off, rotate it, pop it back in. I mean, you could just simply pull it and pop it off that way, but I always feel like if you're rotating it, you're putting a lot less stress on the actual hand peg, that it's not going to break off on you. Lastly, the one other accessory that seems to come with every Bane figure, you get yourself the broken cowl of Batman. It's a solid piece. I would imagine Bane should be able to hold it. You can put it into his hand here. And there is a groove. You see there, that's what I thought. There is a groove on the back. See that right there? Which seems to line up perfectly with his thumb. You can kind of have Bane just holding the cowl that way. Taking that off. Now, as for the figure itself, I'm kind of mixed emotions, unfortunately, when it comes to this Bane. I don't mind the figure, but I don't feel it's as well constructed and well built as the Batman. For starters, let's have a look at his face. His face definitely is done nice. Sometimes with PlayArt's Kai figures, one of the big problems is the paint. It was an issue really for figures like the Kratos, where paint kind of took away from some of the details. Surprisingly, with the Bane, it's not too bad, and I don't feel as if the paint that's been applied to him is taking away from the details on the face sculpt. You can see the veins on the side of his head. A really nice mix of probably two, three different flesh colors combined together. You can see his eyes as well. Really nice detail. And the mask, King of the Walruses. I always say that. I think the mask is solid. I really don't have anything bad to say about the mask. Next to, again, when you start getting to like Hot Toys, those figures are obviously a lot more expensive. This is a good happy medium between the Movie Masters line from Mattel, which was, you know, on par for what it is. It was a good figure. I mean, it's a retail scaled down version of Bane, but you know, for a true collector, you probably want something a little higher up. And if you don't have the funds available to buy a Hot Toys version of Bane, the PlayArt's Kai figures are really a good medium, a good balance between the two. You're getting a really detailed figure, but you're not paying the prices that you're going to pay for something like a Hot Toys. Now, having said that, while I think the Batman was a very strong first entry from the Dark Knight trilogy, I feel Bane is not as good. I don't feel like he's as built properly as Batman. He doesn't feel as secure. There are areas where on the Batman, maybe with the armor, you could conceal parts of him. Bane, unfortunately, because a lot of him is so out in the open, you can see more of the glaring issues. For starters, when we get to his neck, he has a nice long neck and certainly lots of movement both in the neck and upper neck where the head pegs in. But there's this big crevice where you can see, because he has that bend in the lower neck too, it has to allot for that extra bit of crevice. It's unfortunate because then it's very visible, unfortunately. I thought at one point getting it out of packaging that the neck wasn't completely in. Oh, it's in there. It's in there. But it's just, I guess it has to allot for that extra bit of clearance so that the neck can actually move. Unfortunately, the biggest problem, the biggest culprit is what you're seeing on the sides, is with where his arms are. He has pegs. He has a swivel peg on the shoulder area here. Now, turn around on the back, you can see that his arms do move out, very similar to like some of the older Marvel Legends figures. He has that swivel out, which you're not likely going to have the figure pose that way anyways. My big critique is the fact, because he has pegged in arms, you're seeing so visible of a peg point. I'm also a little worried too that I have a tough time moving this arm. This arm moves back and forth easily enough, but it should allow you to swivel the arm forward as well. Oops. You can actually swivel the arm forward as well, and I just unpegged his arm. There we go. Whew, I got worried there for a second. You can swivel the arm out, but I'm so worried about the pegs. Like, the peg on that shoulder looks so small. I feel like the moment I start trying to move the arm out is really where I want to put the arms. I want to move those arms out, but this one arm just does not want to let me move it. Really does not want to let me move it. When you get to the biceps, they swivel, and there is a nice. This I like is where you start getting to a ratcheted joint. You can feel right away that it's much more secure than that of the joint that's right here. You can bend at the elbow easily enough, rotate at the forearm as well. He's also got that same riveted. It's not so much riveted here, but he can move his hand back and forth. Rotate all the way around as well. There goes the arm again. Luckily, it just pegs in. I mean, that's not too big of an issue for me. But when you get to the upper torso is on a ball joint, which isn't any issue. No issue whatsoever. You got to swivel in the waist. But then he's got something funky going on. Let me just move the arm out of the way here. He's got something really funky going on in the lower waist section. When you get down to the lower waist, this whole area right here, the top section of his pants, is just this rubber, kind of like rubber underoos. Batman had it, but because Batman had it where his utility belt was, it wasn't as noticeable, whereas Bane, you can kind of see it just flops all over the place. I understand that they kind of had to do that so that you could move the legs, and that this wasn't going to be an obstruction. Like, you can move the legs forward, back, out, no problems whatsoever. So maybe it has to be like that, but to have the legs not doing anything, this piece tends to want to flop around. When you get down to the lower knees, he does have a double bend at the knees, and he does have a ratcheted joint in the ankle. The foot also pivots and rotates. There goes the arm again. Let's peg that back into place. Surprisingly, I've never really had an issue with a Play Arts Kai figure coming out of the unpegging out of the joint as much as the Bane here. And it really only stems from the fact that I just want to bend that arm, and it just will not let me. It's frustrating because here I can move this arm out. This one doesn't really want to let me. By the way, as a comparison, just so I can show you guys the difference between the two, get Bane to stand properly. Just like so. There we go. Just as a comparison, here is the Dark Knight. I'm going to put him next to the Bane. I will say for Batman, as a testament to the Batman figure, I think Batman benefited from because he had all the extra armor pieces, it concealed a lot of the joints better than Bane. Unfortunately, Bane is so much more visible that you can see a lot of the, I don't want to say shortcomings, but you can definitely see where the joints peg together. It's a bit of a hindrance, especially getting to the shoulder area here. If only that shoulder could allow me to bend it more than what it is, it just does not want to let me move it. Such a shame. Would I recommend the Bane? Despite maybe the small critiques that I've made, I'm still happy with the Bane. And he pairs perfectly with the Batman. It's unfortunate, it really is the same as like Marvel Legends. Some Marvel Legend figures are really good, but because they have so much articulation, visible areas become a little more, a little more visible. I mean, essentially that's really what it is. Because you have more articulation in areas, things like shoulders become a little more sectional than maybe a figure that has a lot of those concealed. I think Bane does things well, but I think Batman is still my favorite from this line. Bane just happens to be one of those figures that if you're going to get Batman and you really want to be filling out the ranks, I know Joker's still on his way, Catwoman I think is going to be released as well. I really want to pick up those two. I'm happy with Bane. I just feel as if he could have been done a little bit better here, and I'm disappointed that the shoulders giving me as much hassle as it is. On a detail-wise and a sculpt-wise, I'm happy with him. Bane, I'm going to give Bane an 8.5. As a good medium between a Hot Toys and the retail release figures, Bane is definitely a superior figure and a good middle point. I just wish he was a little more forgiving when it came to some movements in the joints. Today's toy spot, though, we're having a look at the Square Enix Play Arts Kai, the Dark Knight Trilogy #2. This was the second figure from the line. We're looking today at Bane. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. Certainly stick around. Spot's got more toy spots to come. See you guys next time.